Hi, this is Kelly with Gia's Italian Kitchen. We are going to make homemade pasta. It is way easier than you think. So what I have set up is my Cuisinart, which if you don't have this, you can do it by hand. I will show you that later. We have some flour, I have 2 eggs, and I have my pasta machine. If you don't have one of these, I would put it on your Christmas or birthday list. We will show you how easy it is to use these. They're amazing, you will love it. If you don't have one of these, we will also show you how to do it by hand, no problem. The first thing you need to do is get a pot of water on the stove, boil it, put a heaping tablespoon of water in there in like a 3-quart jug or 3-quart pan, and get that going because this is really gonna take not very long, and by the time you get the pasta made, it'll be ready to put in there. So I'm gonna scoop, and this is the easiest pasta recipe. There's a lot out there that have oil and water and other stuff in it. This is flour and eggs, that's it. That's what my grandma used to use. So I'm gonna put 1 cup of flour, 2 eggs. And you will be amazed when you see how perfect this Cuisinart gets your pasta dough ready. So I'm gonna put 2 eggs in there. Now, as you know, eggs are different shapes. So this is approximate 2 eggs, 1 cup of flour. We'll let the Cuisinart do the work for us, and then we're gonna test the dough. There we go. Try not to get any shell in there. Hope you're getting excited. Okay, so we're gonna put the top on this. Loud noise for just about 1 minute, but you're gonna watch how this comes together and it gets crumbly and you're like, oh no, she's messing it up, but then it turns into a perfect ball right before your eyes. So hang tight, here we go. That was it. Like, how amazing is that? So as soon as it turns into that ball, stop, and you want to test the dough. So what I'm gonna do is just take my finger and push into it, and if it's sticky, which you can, I don't know if you can see that, there's a little dough in my fingers, that means I need more flour. So one of my eggs was probably a little bit, bigger than average. Both were just regular large eggs, but what we want is a bounce back. So I'm gonna add just like a tablespoon of flour because this is gonna go a long way since we already have a whole cup in there. And we're gonna do that pulsing again, or do the Cuisinart again, but you'll see how it is gonna separate again and you're gonna think, oh no, but then it's gonna come back together. Watch. Almost there. Sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna use that finger again, push down. Clean finger. I push down, it bounced back up, done. Your dough is done. So now we're ready to roll it out. So the other beauty about the Cuisinart is that it also kind of kneaded the dough for us so that when we do the by hand portion, we will have to knead it just a little bit, but we don't have to knead it at all by using the Cuisinart. So let's shift over and do the rolling and the cutting. Okay, so we've got our dough done. So what I'm gonna do is first cut this into 4 pieces because it's gonna be a lot easier to, whether you're doing this by hand or in your rolling machine here, if you have this in smaller parts. So what I'm gonna do with these other 2 pieces is put them under a very slightly damp towel, just laying here on the island so that they don't get dried out while we're working over here. So whether you're working on the counter, which again, we will show you in a little bit, or you're working on here to roll and cut, flour is your friend. So we want to flour the machine a little bit and flour your hands so that we do not stick. And then we're gonna just take our quarter of the dough ball, get a little tiny bit of flour, just a dusting. We don't wanna get this too coated with flour because then it's gonna start to dry out. And we're just gonna kind of press it into a rectangle, and then we're gonna get over to our machine. So this is a crank. It's attached to my island so that it doesn't go anywhere, and it has this crank. This is gonna roll it, and then this is gonna cut it. So these are super awesome machines. So we're gonna put this in here, and we want this on the widest setting, and then we'll go one at a time to get this. See, isn't that awesome? You can do this by hand, we'll show you, but this is a lot easier. And it gets it nice and even, and it gets it really nice and thin to cut into a beautiful fettuccine or a spaghetti. So after about 3, I'm gonna grab just a little tiny bit of flour and dust this again because I don't want it to stick in the machine. And then we'll come back in here and move our crank one more setting. And my machine has 7 settings. So depending on the company of your machine, it might have 6, it might have 8 or 9. So you'll always want to start at the widest setting and go up one at a time. And it might be a little tempting to skip a setting, but when you do that, your pasta tends to rip. So try not to be tempted by skipping it to make it go a little faster. This is still really fast and is gonna be so amazing compared to a store-bought pasta. So just give it that extra minute. Okay, so let's put that through. We're just rolling really quick, catching on the underside. And this is getting pretty thin. I don't know if you can kind of start to see through it, but it's still looking really nice. I'm gonna do one more setting. Maybe. There we go. Touch it. Oh yeah. So this is really perfectly thin. Oh, see that end of it started to rip. So no big deal. We're just gonna tear this off and throw it back in here for our next batch. But look how beautiful the rest of this is. So what we're gonna do next is give it a cut. So I'm gonna just move my crank over to the fettuccine and put this down in there and let it go. And then catch it at the bottom. Oh, this is so cool. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? So I'm gonna just put this on my pasta rack here to dry. I'm gonna kind of separate them a little bit so they don't stick together. And while we do the rest of our 3 other cuts of the dough ball, this can just hang out and dry, and we'll put it right into the water. We don't let it set overnight or anything like that. It'll go right in the water and it'll be done in like 2 minutes to have a beautiful fettuccine dinner. Hey, we're back. Okay, so we are gonna make the pasta pretending we don't have a Cuisinart, and you are gonna do this on your island. So we're still gonna use just the flour and the eggs. So we're gonna do a half batch. So we have 1/2 cup of flour, 1 egg, and we're gonna make this volcano on the island. I'm sure you've seen this before, but so I have my dump of 1/2 cup of flour. I'm gonna make a really big circle in the middle, because our goal with this is to get the egg in the middle without having it fall outside of your volcano, so that we can get this all incorporated in there. So make a nice big circle. Yes, this is gonna make a mess. Your hands are gonna be a mess. Your island is gonna be a mess. And then you'll clean it when you're done. So like, that's just how it goes. Okay, so we're gonna take an egg, 1 egg, 1 large egg, and crack it in the middle, trying not to get any shell. Perfect. Okay, so then we're gonna just take a fork and we're gonna kind of try to scramble it in the middle. And the reason that we're kind of scrambling it is so that we don't get the flour mixed in with the white, mixed in with the yolk, and then they're kind of separate but different. So we're trying to just scramble this to get it, the white and the yellow mixed in. Okay, then you're gonna slowly push in some of the flour, going round and round and round your volcano. Again, trying not to let the egg ooze out of your volcano, and slowly just go round and round and round. And it, ooh, see there, okay, so then it's coming up out. So just take some flour, bring it around, bring that volcano back in, and try to do a little engineering there on your structure. It's no big deal. Okay, push some in, get it, and you should feel it starting to thicken. Whoa, there it goes. That's okay, that's okay. Bring it around, bring it around. Okay, now let's get it all going in. This whole time, this hand is moving with your fork, getting this going. Okay, you ready to get messy? Now we're really gonna get messy. Because now we're gonna ditch the fork and we're gonna use our hands. Okay, so now nothing is runny, but we don't have a ball of dough like we did in the Cuisinart. Okay, so let's get rid of the fork here. So scrape all of it off the fork, because unlike when you're rolling the dough where there's extra flour on the island, we've measured the flour, right? We have 1 egg, we've got the 1/2 cup, and we need, so I'm kind of scraping the island because we need all of the flour to have that perfect ratio for the dough. So when we get to that point where we're gonna push our finger down and feel if the dough is the proper consistency to start rolling, we might need to add a little flour, because as you can see, the flour is going to stick to the island, and that's okay. So now what I'm gonna do is take my hands, get the fork out of the way, I'm gonna just fold and try to grab all of the flour, turn, fold, turn, fold. Yes, it's getting all over my fingers, so you're gonna just try to scrape that off, turn, fold, and it's really sticky right now because this will take a little bit of time to get all of the flour off the island, and we probably are gonna need, like I said, to add, oh, this is gonna be gross, add a little bit more flour. So I'm gonna take a little bit from there, get that in there, turn, fold, scrape off your fingers. Okay, so if this isn't an advertisement for Cuisinart, I know this is the way, this is the authentic way, but this is the messy way for sure. Okay, turn, fold, and you should be able to start to feel it coming off your fingers a little bit, because it's starting to form that dough ball and thicken a little bit more. Oh, it's getting there. Okay, just a tiny bit more flour. And if you remember from when we did the Cuisinart, you know, it depends on the size of your egg, right? If you had a little bit larger of an egg, you're gonna need to add flour anyway. If you had a smaller egg, you might be in an opposite situation where you're gonna need to add an extra egg and then a little more flour. Okay, there we go. Turn and fold, there we go. There, see? Now you can see how it is turning into our dough ball, just like in the Cuisinart. So now what we need to do is, I'm gonna scrape my fingers a little bit more, try to get all that off there. We're gonna have to wash our hands before we start to roll because this is obviously, yay. But the Cuisinart did some of the kneading for us, so we're gonna need to do that. So we're gonna press with the palm of your hand, turn and fold, press, just maybe like 10 times, just to give it a little bit of a knead. To let that gluten from the flour release a little bit. Awesome. So now, see, we've got our perfect little dough ball. And even though my fingers got stuff in it, you can see how I push down and nothing is coming up. So this is our dough ball. Perfect. Then next step, we're gonna show you how to roll the dough ball without the machine. So we'll be right back. Okay, last part is we need to roll the dough and cut it so that we can make our fresh fettuccine without the machine, without the Cuisinart. So we have our dough ball that we just made by hand, and we've kneaded it a little bit, and now we need to roll it out. So you need a rolling pin, and you need to put some flour down on your counter, and you need to flour your rolling pin. And we're gonna roll this out really to just kind of get the shape like we had with the machine. So, and if it starts to stick, just grab just a light dusting of flour because we don't want it to stick to the rolling pin. And we're not going like this because then it's just gonna kind of wrap around it. We're pushing, let go, push, let go, push, let go. And you can see how it's getting bigger. And then I'm gonna try to go sideways a little bit. And we're gonna try to get this thin like the machine. So let's turn it up. Turn it up, flip it over, give it a light dusting, and then let's do it again. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, ha, little flour needed there. And maybe, you know, if there's a piece of dough that's sticking to your rolling pin, just get that off of there so it doesn't stick. There we go. So it doesn't stick to your dough. Oh, that's nice. Okay, there we go. Nice. Okay, awesome. So now what we're gonna do is pick it up, flip it over so we're back on the floured side. Now we're just gonna gently fold it. We don't wanna press it because we're gonna prepare to cut it into our fettuccine. So we're gonna gently fold, fold, and fold one more time. Don't press it down, and then when your fingers are gonna grab the dough, you're gonna grab really gently because we don't wanna push down and squish it. We wanna hold it really gently. A really sharp knife or a serrated knife is gonna be best, and we're gonna kind of saw through this so that it cuts without squishing it and pressing the dough back together. So I'm just gonna give this a few cuts so that you can see what this looks like. And then we open it back up and we've got our fettuccine. Let's do another one. We open it back up. Look at that. And then we're gonna put that on our drying rack, or if you don't have a drying rack, you can just lay this right on your counter just like that. And it's gonna just kind of hang out and dry until you're ready to cook it. You can just leave it there, set it aside. You can dry these overnight or for a few hours, and then once they're dry, you can put them in a Ziploc and put them in the fridge. You do want to put them in the fridge because there's a raw egg in there, right? It's not like a pasteurized store-bought box of dried pasta. It's the fresh. So you do need to keep it in the fridge, but you can let it dry for a little bit and then put it in a Ziploc. Best, of course, is we're gonna make this and we're gonna boil it and cook it right now. Now, boiling this, it's only gonna take like 2 or 3 minutes. Totally different than the box pasta where it's been super dry. There's some other processes in there. 2-3 minutes fresh pasta done. The fettuccine is a little thicker, wider, so it is probably gonna take that 3 minutes. If you're doing like an angel hair with your machine or a spaghetti, really probably 2 minutes and it's gonna be done. So I hope that you enjoyed this fresh making pasta video, and I hope that you try it. Check out our website, giasitaliankitchen.biz, for lots of additional recipes. And if you have any questions, Kelly, Kelley, at giasitaliankitchen.biz. I hope you loved it. I hope you tried it. Put some notes in the comments and let us know what you think. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon. Let's get cooking. Okay, now we gotta clean the island. So I've wiped this off with a wet paper towel or wet dish rag, but then you still have like the caked on egg and flour. So the easiest thing to do, take a like plastic spatula and just gently push, and this comes off really easily. It looks like a total disaster and a total mess, but look how my island has totally cleaned up. And then I can take my rag or whatever you use to clean your island to get that final film off, but all the caked on stuff is gone. So anyway, tip of the week. Hey, another tip, if you do have one of these machines, do not wash it with water. You shake it off, wipe it off with a dry towel, and you can feel if there's any hard or dried or not dried little pasta pieces underneath here. You can crank it clockwise, counterclockwise, get the little bits out, but do not put this thing in water. Don't even wipe it with water, because the water will get trapped in here and it will affect your next batch of pasta. So just get it dry, wiped off, stick it back in the box.